In the previous sessions, we have seen how to read the data from attributes, how to set the data to an attribute. Similarly, we have seen how to read the data based on the UI IDs, how to set the data based on ID. Now we want to go with reading the values from the lightning inputs, setting that value to the URA attributes. Reading the values and setting the values to the attributes. So how to read the values from the UI components, set the value to the attributes of the lightning component. This is the context what we are going to look at. So let us see this. Input, right. So how you define the attributes? How you define the attributes? So look at this. URI attribute. Don't. URI attribute name. Lightning input type equal to number, input type equal to number, label equal to amount, label equal to enter amount, lightning input, so we're giving amount, amount. Then here we're giving calculate. So this is how we have created. Now what we are trying to do, one is reading the value, setting to the attribute, reading the value, setting to the attribute. I can also give value equal to v dot amount. So the value what we are entering here, it is automatically assigned to the attribute called v dot amount. V dot v dot v dot right. So the value which I entered in the input, it is automatically saved to v dot amount. So these attributes are acting like a database for you on the client side. These attributes are acting like a database for you. So the data what is entered in the input component, we are holding the data in the attributes, then we are performing the logic. That's what in the client side we have client side view, client side controller, client side database. So here attributes are helping you to save the data and perform the calculations as per your requirement. Now let us do this example. So what else I have to define now? I have defined a component. So first let me create an application here. Then we are forced to apply extends so this is how we got it. What was it? When I'm entering here, automatically we are getting the data. Why we are getting the data? Because I told input value equal to v dot attribute. So whatever the value I'm entering here, automatically at the back end they are set to the attributes. I told value equal to v dot attribute, right? So whatever the data we are entering, automatically it is updating to the attribute. Fine, boss. Okay. Now what we want to do? We want to calculate. When you click on the button, we want to calculate. So how do you perform that? Go to the component. Calculate. Where amount equal to component dot v dot dot get just equal to amount we are setting the component. Right, boss? Simply what I'm doing, reading the values of the component. Why I'm reading the value from the component? Because the values what I entered in the attribute, okay, input components, that is already saved to attributes. That is already saved to attribute. So I'm reading the value from the attributes and performing the operation. I hope you are good with this. Now values entered here, already they are saved to the attributes. So it is easy for me to read the value from attribute compared to the ID. In terms of length of the code, I have to give component dot find id dot get v dot value, component dot find set v dot value comma attribute. Here it is easy for me, component dot get attribute, component dot get set attribute. That's the reason I prefer to read the values from attributes. Then go back. So this is how we got it. So whatever the values we have entered, whatever the values we have entered in the input components that I already stored to the attributes. From the attributes, we are performing this operation. I hope everyone is good with this. Shall we do one example? Right? Okay. So let us take one example, quick example, a basic level example only. Shall we do the same example? Now the same example, now which you are taking, whatever you have done in the last class, same example. Now in the last class, we are done with lighting input. Now this value should be saved to attributes. From the attributes, you manage the functionality. Right. Now what did I do? Once again, I will show the code what I have given. Component, UI components I have created. The values which are entered here, they are assigned to the attribute. Value equal to v dot amount. They are assigned to the attribute. Then when you click on the button, I went to the component. Whatever the values are there in the attributes, I read the values. I have performed the calculations and assigned the value of the interest. Now UI components, the values entered in the UI components, they are assigned to the attributes. Am I clear with this example? Right. So shall we do one example? Right. So do this example. Do this example. So first I was supposed to create attribute name, type. Then I'm creating lighting input type number label value equal to v dot then we're giving v dot sum. Then we are going to give on click label No need to give also, because already I am setting the value there. In case you want to observe it, you can give it, otherwise, okay, already whatever the value we are setting there, it is already stored to the attribute. Then go to the component, go to the controller, component.get, this is how we give. For our understanding purpose, console.log, now let us go to the application, new lighting application. Then we are trying to invoke it. So go for a preview. Now, why we are taking this? Parse it. So go back to the client side, then apply. Parse int of. Same story, come back. I have not defined multiply. Action is not defined. What will be there? Same story. Right. So go back. So this is how we are performing the operation. I hope you are good with this. I hope you are good with this. So reading the values from this component and performing. So whatever the value we entered in this component, that is already saved to, whatever the values we entered in this component already saved to attributes. Okay, already saved to attributes. I hope you are good with this example. Everyone is good with this? Clear? Okay. Now we will try to understand how we can use helper methods in this. Now we are writing a code. Now how we can perform? Let us go to the next. Now what we are doing? So we are entering the data. Once we enter the data, that is stored to the attributes. From the attributes, we are reading the values and setting it. Now here, the same functionality I want to use in different format. I want to go for a functionality called helper. Right. So before do that, let me create a new component here. I hope this is good with everyone. Right. Now let us create.
Satish.
Yes.
Here for result you have taken like input tag. So instead of that, after summing of available balance and some other two fields you have took, right?
Yes.
So result also you took like input tag. Instead of that, after adding those two, it should hide those two and it should display only the result.
So that's we need to go for the CSS. Okay, it is not achievable with the components what we have learned.
Okay.
Right. Fine. Now let us go back to the next one. Now go back to the next one here. We are going with the next example here. Lightning component. Look at the component. First understand the code. Same previous example I'm going to give, but I'm going to slightly change the format. The ID. So understand this. We are going to introduce a new concept here. Helper. Now we are taking this. Now we are not assigning a component straight away. Input attributes are different and input components are different, attributes are different. Now how many methods we have doing? Now go to the controller. Now my requirement is taking the values from this, and I want to display some result here. Now this is my requirement. So read the values from the input component, assign them to the attributes. Why should you assign them to attributes? Let us say I am displaying the value here. If I want to display these values, whatever the values I entered in the input component, they should be assigned to attributes. If I don't assign them to attributes, I will not be able to display it. So what is our requirement? Read the values from the components, the input components, assign them to the attributes. Okay. Then calculate the sum or multiplication. When I go to this, first, how do you find out? Component dot find eval then we are giving where component dot set v dot component event. Where I had this is my code. First, let us complete this example. Then I'll see what is the need of helper. So we are supposed to go with we are not interested on the look and feel. We are trying to understand the concept first. This is how we got it. The basic concept. What happened? Reading the value. But the A value, B value are not getting displayed because we didn't set it. Right? So what I'm doing, component set v dot A value the same story should repeat here. Now what are the values that are there in the component? That values I want to whatever the values that are there in the components, that values I want to. What are the values that are there in the attributes? Only those values I want to calculate. What I'm doing? Whatever the values that are there in the attributes, those values we want to calculate. But how are you getting the values in the attributes? How are you getting the values in the attributes? We are taking the values from the input components. We are taking the values from the input components. We are taking the values from the input components and setting the values to attributes. So whatever the values that are there in the attributes, those values I am performing, on those values I am performing calculations. This is my requirement, boss. Now if you look at this requirement, 1, 2, 3, 4 statements are common. In both the functionalities, 1, 2, 3, 4 statements are common. Same code is repeating twice. When same code is repeating twice, why should I define it? I can define like a reusable entity. What is that reusable entity? Helper. What is that reusable entity? Helper. Now let us understand some basic details about helper. Basic details about helper. Now, helper is also a JavaScript. Helper is also a JavaScript. Helper method is also a JavaScript. Helper method is also a JavaScript. Helper method is also a JavaScript. It's not the documentation. It is also a JavaScript. Now, we are defining helper method 1, helper method 2, helper method 3, just like any other JavaScript. Now, how we are calling? We had a name. What is this called? Helper. Helper dot helper method name. Helper dot helper method name. Whatever the parameters you want to pass, you can pass it. Now, if you look at this, what is the name of the helper method? Update item. What is the parameter they are expecting? Component, item, callback. You define what are the parameters you want. This is JavaScript function. What are the parameters? But how are you going to invoke it? How are you going to invoke it? Helper dot the helper. Helper dot name of the helper method and the components what you want to pass. The parameters what you want to pass. So let us define here. What are you finding here? Under the controller, what are you finding here? Helper. Click on the helper. Set. Call me. What is the function here? In the function it is giving component. If you give the component, what this component is doing? From the component, whatever the input elements are there, get those values and set those values to attribute. What this helper is doing? What this helper is doing? If you give the component name, from the component, find the element whose ID is eval, get the value. Find the element whose ID is bval, get the value. Okay, get the value of the element whose ID is eval or bval. Set these values to attributes. Set these values to attribute. Now here, what I'm doing, what this add is doing, what this add is doing, from the component, get the value of A attribute, get the value of B attribute. That method, what it is doing, reading the values from input components, setting the values to attributes. Now what we are doing here, from the component, get the values of the attributes, then perform the addition. Right. Now here I am giving helper dot. What is the name of the method? Name of the method is called me M capital. What is the parameter it is expecting? Component. The component on which this JavaScript is running, same component I have to pass them, because both of them should work on the same component. So I am giving here so what happened? The size of the code is reduced now. The size of the code is reduced. Now whenever we call add, it is calling a helper method. What that helper method is doing? Whatever the component on which add is called, that it is going to that component, reading the value of input eval, input bval, storing the value to the component attributes like eval attribute and bval attribute. Then what this is doing after setting the value, read the value of attributes, perform the addition. Did you get the concept here? Right? Okay. Now go back, run the code again. Are we getting the result? Right. Now, can I reduce this? Now, can I reduce this even with this one? Remove this. Helper dot name of the helper method. What is the parameter it is expecting? This is what? Sharing. The code is given in the JavaScript, the same code is shared with the other functionalities. Now, this is how the reusable entity is defined. I hope you are good with this. The name of the button. Did you follow my point? If there is any common code which need to be implemented, instead of defining again and again for different functions, define them like a reusable JavaScript code, and we can call that reusable code. What is that reusable JavaScript code? Helper function. I hope you are good. Helper function is what? Simply a JavaScript only. Now you are creating a controller, clicking on the controller and creating. Similarly, helper should be given as click on the helper, helper will be coming. Whatever the name you have given. So helper dot name of the method, parameters what you want to pass. Helper dot name of the method, parameters what you want to pass. Are you clear about this? People have followed? Am I clear? Am I clear with this? Okay. Now let us take a quick theoretical formats here. What is the theoretical format? What is the purpose of this helper? Helper function. What is this helper function? Right. It is a JavaScript code. If you are defining same functionality, if you are using same functionality in multiple functions of the controller, then common code can be defined as reusable code. This reusable section is called helper. This reusable section is called helper. Then helper will be defined for a associated with only one component. Helper will be associated with only one component. Example. Component name, component helper, ABC, ABC helper.js. Without helper. Then we have given this. Right. This is the code. In the above code, yeah, defining following twice, and it is independent of rest of the operation. What is the code? So what I can do, this code I can define as helper, component, and invoke the controller. Dot params. Same example. We are defining component controller This is how we have defined. I hope you are clear with this format. People have followed this. I hope you people have followed this example. I hope you are clear with this example. Everyone has followed this structure. So basically, helper is, we are replacing the reusable entity with the helper. We are replacing the reusable code with the helper, invoking their functionality. I hope you are good with this. Okay, this is generally called refactoring. Okay, optimizing the code. Anyone has any query on that? Clear with this one, everyone? Right. Right, boss? So we have seen controller, and we have seen component, we have seen helper, and how to create attributes, and we have seen about how to create lightning input. So let us expand our example to the next level. So let us take the next example. I hope everyone is good with this, right? Just one sector, I may forget this. Just copy it. I may forget to copy this code again. Right, boss. Now we are going with the next part of the story. We have seen input. Let us see the other components what we have. So let us see the other components. Now we'll start with the next component. Accordion. We had a accordion. What is this accordion and how they will be used? Right. First, we have accordion. What is an accordion? What is an accordion session? To understand this, first I will show one of the corresponding example is the visual force. In visual force, what it is and how it is referenced. Where was the visual force components? I'll show you first existing visual force component similar to that lightning, so that we can correlate and work on it. So we had first let me show you the output. So what was this? When I click on this, the corresponding section. When I click on this, corresponding section. So we had number of panels. Now when I click on the panel, corresponding data will be displayed. When I click on the panel, corresponding data is displayed. Click on the panel, corresponding data is displayed. Is that is clear? Right. Same concept in lightning accordion. Same concept in the lightning we are calling as accordion, where we are going to have better UI. Did you get my point? It is a panel bar with 3 panel bar items. Now for every panel bar item, okay, corresponding data will be there. Let me give you. So in every panel bar item, we are giving data. When I click on that panel bar, corresponding data will be displayed. So go back to the page and see. Right? Panel bar item 1, whatever the data I gave in bar item 1, it is getting displayed. Bar item 2, bar item 2. Same concept in the lightning. What we had? Accordion. What we have? Accordion. Look at this. In the Visual Force, you are calling them as panel bar with panel bar item. Same concept we are using here with the accordion and accordion section. In the accordion is a complete block. In the accordion, what we have? Accordion section. We have accordion with accordion section. We have accordion with accordion section. I hope you are clear with this. People have followed this. Accordion with the accordion section. Okay. Now, first let us create an example of this. So go back to this. I hope you have followed the concept of it. I hope you followed this concept, right? Everyone has followed this concept, right? Okay. Come back to the lightning component. Your accordion. Right. What are the attributes you are finding in the accordion? Let us go to the accordion. ID we can give it specifications. What is the specification? Body, that's a default. Class, in case you want to apply any CSS. Title, when you keep a cursor, it will come active section name. So only practically one attribute. What is that? Active section. When you have a number of sections, which section should be opened by default? I have 4 sections. When it is loaded, which section should be displayed by default? That I am going to give as active section name. Otherwise, accordion. Right. Then I have to give accordion section. Accordion section icon. Here I am giving enter name. First name, last name. Then we are taking now when you're taking accordion, now accordion section, not item, this is section item. Okay. Now let us see. When you go for a section, what are the specifications here? We have body, class, title is common, name, label. Every section will have a label, right? Every section will have a label and every section has a name. Here section name equal to basic info, and we have label customer basic info. Right. accordion section, basic info, education,
section is same as Facebook section.
now accordion, lighting, accordion sections. So here I am going to take here. Then we are going with communication. Mobile. 4. Email. Then we had basically we are creating different sections, boss. Now by default, which section should be active? We already have a attribute here. What is that attribute? Active section name of the section. Active section name equal to, I'm giving basic info. We give a names, right? We give a names. That name we are giving. Okay. Now we are invoking new lightning application. Then we need to apply extends. This is what we got. Customer basic info, education info, communication info. Right? I may clear, I may give list of contacts, list of opportunities, list of cases. I allow account detail page on the top, account detail page on the top, at the bottom accounts, okay, contacts, opportunities and cases. When you click on that, list of contacts. When you click on that, list of opportunities, list of cases. Now I hope you are clear. So it is just like a panel bar with a panel bar item. You might have done in the Visual Force. The same thing in the lighting we are doing with accordion section. I hope you are clear with this component. Clear? Purpose is clear. Now entire thing is one component only. This entire component will have only one controller. Using that controller, I can read entire data. It may be a different sections of the same component. So I can have only one controller through which I will be reading this data. I hope you are good with this, right? So let us take a quick theoretical information about accordion section. I don't need all this stuff. Then, so what was that accordion? Come back. It will create sections vertically stacked sections with multiple content areas. This will create, in our terms, create vertical sections. Each vertical section is defined using lightning When you click on the section label, corresponding body will be displayed. Now, previously one girl has asked me a question. You are clicking on a button. When you click on a button, input component should be hidden, rest of the component should be shown. Like the content of the body should be changing, hide and unhide. Now every component will have a body. When you assign body equal to this, only that data will be displayed. When is a body equal to this, now the component, every component will have a body. Now this is accordion section. This is accordion. It has a body. If you look at the attributes, it is having what? Body. Now if you change the value of the body, content of the body will be changed. The body value can be modified programmatically or manually. Now we are writing a straight away code there. It is manually we are writing it. Dynamically using a program also can modify. In that section, when I click on this, based on this pick list value, the data in the section should change. Let us say I have a pick list account. I have a pick list like account, and I have a pick list like a opportunity. If you select account, then it has to come. Accordion has to come with contacts, cases, and opportunities. If you choose opportunity, it has to come with opportunity line items, quotations, orders. So the content of the accordion is changing dynamically. How it can be changed dynamically? By using the body. So that we'll be seeing down the line how to create the components dynamically. There you will be finding. We have a choice of modifying the content of the body programmatically also by using an attribute called body. Right. Okay. So what are the attributes we have for this? Every component will have body. I'm not mentioning this separately. Class. We want to apply any CSS, we will define name of the CSS class as title. When we keep a cursor, on this, what message string defined as title will be then we had what is the next one we had title active section name of the accordion section whose content should be expanded. And what is the next one we had? There only we have accordion section. There itself we have accordion section. This is a child component of this will define a section, vertical section under accordion. I am mentioning Lightning before everything to know the namespace. Attributes. What are the standard attributes? Same attributes. What is that? Class, title, label. Now we need to give it class, title. This is two are common. Same attributes I am giving here. Class and title, label. This is string message. Value of this string. This string will be displayed as a header of the section. When we click on this label, section will expand. Then we had title, label, name. Every section will have using which we are referring, using which we are referring the section. Great. So these are the components what we have. Example. Screen is already shared. Right. Now, how we are defining this? So this is how we create. Create an application and invoke it. Right, boss? So that's all from my end for the day.